Hi, so can a sexless marriage survive? This is a really, really good and juicy topic. So a lot of couples really wonder whether if there's no intimacy and that's not happening, can we survive? A lot of people feel like we're roommates, we're coexisting, but we're not actually, married in a romantic relationship because there is no intimacy and there is no connection. So there's so many facets that I'm actually going to talk to you about it. So I'm going to actually answer the question, can it survive? Should it be this way? How we can shift out of it at the end, the tips and tricks of how to shift out of it if that's where you're currently at, but you don't want your relationship to be like that. The many reasons that there's actually no intimacy presence, and that might actually help you kind of debunk and figure out what the heck is going on in your relationship, as I know some people have those questions. And then, like I said, at the end, we're going to go through the tips, how you can create more intimacy and what you can do. So, the first question, is it possible for your relationship to survive sexlessness? Honestly, there are seasons and different times in our life where there may be a period in your relationship like that, depending on your relationship dynamic and what's going on for you, both of you. Now, I know a lot of couples sometimes would struggle with health issues or after having children, or perhaps have had lost a parent or a friend or someone really close to them. They might themselves go through sort of a grieving or maybe even a bit of like depression, things like that. And that can really throw off things like libido and interest in sex. So it's really important to keep those things in mind and sometimes know that these are just a season and they're not going to last forever. And it's the natural ebb and flow of life, right? In relationships, we have seasons where we are like feeling amazing and super connected. And then there's other seasons where we're like maybe focused on careers and it's a bit challenging and things like that. So keep that in mind, that there are seasons, and sometimes when you're in that season, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. If you feel like it is, you should probably get help and support to make sure you move out of that as quick as you can, as quick as reasonable. Now, there are a small section of the population that actually have an arrangement in their marriage that is, there's no real intimacy, there's no real affection. It is kind of more of a companionship, even though it's a marriage. And so I'd say that's a very small part of the population. Most of the population wants the intimacy, they want the on fire sex, they want the connection, they want that physical connection with their partner. And I will say that the connection and the intimacy actually helps everything else in your relationship. It helps your communication, it helps you not fight about niggly things. I have so many couples that will say to me, yeah, when we're connected, when there's intimacy, when there's physical affection, we don't worry, we don't fight about the niggly stuff. But as soon as that drops off, or as soon as that's non existent, it gets on our nerves, it annoys us, and it irks us. And so there are actually plenty of reasons for that. One of them is sometimes we both come in our masculine energy and just like clash heads. And so that doesn't matter what gender you are or anything like that. It's the type of energy that you're in. So when you're in work mode, whether you're male or female, you're in do masculine energy usually. Say for this is like a big broad generalization just to kind of get the general concept across. When you're looking after the kids, you're often in feminine energy, or when you're like doing nurturing things, feminine energy. And so when you come together and you're both masculine, you will polarize. Okay. And that does not set us up for intimacy very well because we're both in that go, 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 do mode. And we're both like kind of playing up here, so to speak. And we're not really dropped in and connected with one another. So that's really important as well to consider. And I think there is a lot of different reasons why intimacy might not be high on the priority list for you at the moment, or it's non-existent. Sometimes there has been past hurts, traumas, disagreements, things said that haven't been resolved. That is usually the number one, other than health concerns, of course, the main reason, if there's no health concerns, that couples are not connecting. So I would like you just to take a second and think about your relationship. Is there things that are unresolved, things left unsaid, past hurts that haven't healed, we haven't moved on from them? Is all that in play? Because if that's in play, it's really important to get professional help to guide you through those so they can be resolved, so you can actually let one another in. Because I know we are talking about physical intimacy right now, but if you're not emotionally connected, if you don't emotionally feel like the other person loves you, supports you, and gets you, then the physical intimacy will be off the cards. So That's really important to think about because a lot of couples, a lot of men and women don't want to connect in that way unless those things are fixed, unless those things are talked through. They feel like they're heard, validated, appreciated, and seen. So that's extremely important. I would also say that if you are in this current phase of experiencing, no intimacy, different things, there's some things to think about here. Have you spoken to your partner about it? Are they aware of it? Maybe they're not aware of it. I know that sounds crazy, but we are just so busy. We live in such a fast paced world that I will have couples sit in front of me quite often and be like, oh, I didn't even know that that's where our personal life is right now. I didn't even know that things have changed, or yeah, I'd noticed, but I didn't think it was a big deal. So if you haven't put forward in a loving, kind, respectful way your wants, needs, desires, expectations, standards around this area, then it's pretty easy for it to drop by the wayside, and vice versa. So if you can both actually lay out on the table what you both want from it, what you both expect, what it might look like, generically, right? But actually having these conversations is so important. I know a lot of couples, there's a lot of shame, worry, and guilt, and all sorts of things about sharing this stuff. But if you want a healthy sex life, you have to be able to talk about it. It actually enhances your sex life when you can talk about these things because you're clear, you're articulate, and they know there's no guessing games. And that's the same thing when it comes to initiating. I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, I wait for them, I wait for him or her or whatever. And that doesn't always work. And it's not always what the other person wants either. This is another conversation that really needs to be had in your relationship if you want to dial up the intimacy. So you are on the same page, and also ask the other person, how do you like me to initiate? Because if you don't know and you're going about it the wrong way, they're just completely, they don't feel good about it, then, clearly there's going to be a zero outcome there. So talk about it, communicate openly and honestly about this topic, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you need, because that is the foundation of a healthy relationship anyway. If you can't communicate about it, then it's pretty hard to translate into the bedroom. I'm also going to talk about a big issue that I see couples have, and it is often that they're like, well, we'll fix this now, we'll fix it. So we'll lock ourselves in the bedroom until it's sorted. It usually ends up terribly. So you need to fix this outside of the bedroom first before you can get to the bedroom. So I know a lot of people will just be like, I'll just go to that bedroom, we'll make it work, it'll be fine, we'll fix it. No, it starts outside. It starts with flirting outside the bed, like flirting in other areas of your house. It starts with having the hard conversations. It starts with reconnecting on an emotional level. So a lot of couples, when they say, well, I'm in a sexless marriage, there's no emotional connection, or there's no emotional connection anymore. There might have been previously, but not anymore. So it's really important to think about, where is your emotional connection right now? Do you talk about how your day was? Do you talk about your challenges and your wins and what's great? Now, a lot of people will say, I do talk about it. I think you might talk about it, but often you're giving each other the run-of-the-mill response. Yeah, it was okay. Or every day, the day was fine. And you don't dive any deeper than that. So that's not real connection. That is a learnt response that we give to the other person so we don't trigger them. And what you want to do is go layers deeper than that and have that time set aside to talk and connect on a deeper level. It's extremely important. I can't emphasize that enough, because this will be the one thing that people will want to glaze over in this video. They'll be like, oh, it'll be fine, we won't worry about that part. Emotional connection is the main thing you should worry about. Obviously, having the conversations are important, absolutely, but emotional connection is so important. Now, often if you don't have that emotional connection, it can come back, and I'm like, circle back to the past traumas, past issues, past unresolved stuff. So sometimes you need to do that first before you can start building the emotional connection and just the connection in general, right? And so just a really few surface level quick things that you can do that makes such a difference is give the other person eye contact. Revolutionary, I know. It sounds funny, and it sounds like, oh, duh, I bet you don't do it. I can almost, like, I know myself, we'll be doing things in the kitchen and talking and stuff, and you're not giving each other eye contact. When you give each other eye contact, you connect at a different level. It makes the other person feel seen, validated, and appreciated simply through eye contact. Obviously, listening in a deeper way helps that too, clearly. So, repeating back and doing things like that is super important. But the simple thing of giving someone eye contact helps you start to connect to them, but also to see what's truly going on. If you never really look at them and look at them more than for 3 seconds and then look away, how are you ever going to know what's going on for them? So that's an extremely important thing to do. And just a couple of other points. So if you're in this situation where intimacy is not where you're at, I'm going to run through a few things. So we've talked about openly and honestly communicating, getting professional help to work through challenges or situations like that, medical checkups. Sometimes there is really pressing health issues that limits what you can and can't do. And if the person doesn't feel safe, then they won't engage. So you need to be having those conversations so they feel safe to engage. So, for example, if you're working around a medical condition, then you need to have the conversations and build the emotional safety into the situation so they feel physically safe to engage in intimacy. Now, I know that sounds like, well, yeah, of course they're safe. Now, I know that they're safe in terms of no harm's coming to them, but if they're worried about things being uncomfortable or hurting or anything like that, then it usually takes intimacy off the table pretty quickly. So have the conversation, what they like, what they don't like, what's on the table, what's off the table. Is there any workarounds? Does it need to look different than what it does? Like perhaps what it looked like when you first got together, it'll look very different now. That's a very important conversation to have. And I find a lot of couples are scared to go there, but they do want that part of their life back. I read this quote the other day that basically the best things are on the other side of the things you're avoiding. Clearly, it wasn't like that. It was much better than that. But basically, all the things that you're avoiding, is the barrier to you getting what you want. So if you're avoiding having these tough conversations, get some professional help so you don't have to have the weird and awkward conversations. You can have a step-by-step approach to it that's super proactive. That's very important to make sure that you both feel really heard, understood, and get the actions or the outcomes that you're looking for. So again, reconnect emotionally, reduce stress. A huge barrier to intimacy is stress. So if you're feeling super stressed, sometimes doing things like exercise or meditation or breathing or dropping in together beforehand can be really useful. So you're not so stressed and you can be present, because that can be another big issue, particularly I see for women, is the inability to be present. So breathing, connecting, emotional intimacy prior is usually extremely important. And set realistic expectations. Now, if it's been a really long time, don't expect the world. Like, even say to each other that make it so realistic. Like, I just expect that we give it a shot. Whatever happens, happens. We can stop at any time. Things like that. If you put those things in place, people feel a lot calmer and a lot safer to engage. So you also need to be patient and kind with one another. If it has been a long time or things have not been how you want them to be, give each other grace, talk through it. And I know that doesn't sound like the sexy suggestion. I mean, you can get to all the other stuff later, but if you just want to get this, like, things moving in the right direction, then give each other the respect and the grace and the patience and the kindness to get to where you want it to be, because that will happen over time, but you have to start somewhere. Sometimes it's really good to educate yourselves to get some more information. I actually have a membership that's like $29 a month. It is insanely cheap. It's for less than $1 a day. But in this, we're going to go through all the different facets of relationships, communication, intimacy, like emotional connection, all of the different things. There's a masterclass. There's an opportunity to anonymously ask me questions and I'll answer them via video. It's got so much value in there. Plus, it's got a challenge every month, which is really fun because it's the practical action that you can put in place, which I love. The practical action is always my favorite because it gets you the results that you're after. I think it's also important to note that you should reevaluate your relationship goals. Sometimes we have this expectation that it's going to be like this, it's up here, and maybe we just need to bring it down to here for a short period of time before we build it up. And I'm actually going to finish on my number one thing. if you are in this position, you've had the conversations and there's no medical things and you're both open to it and you're both ready to start somewhere, but you're not really ready to go for like full on, like that type of thing, start with affection. Start with like light touch, hugs, lots more kisses, like dial that stuff up and just keep dialing the affection up and the flirt up and the conversations up until it will naturally progress. Okay. Or you can have that conversation and ask when you're both ready. So that is the biggest thing, is that you have to start somewhere. And sometimes for some couples, it's getting comfortable laying next to bed in the same room as one another. That's where they start. For some couples, it's a long extended hug multiple times a day if they're if it's available to them. Or it's, a massage while you're sitting on the couch, or, there's so many ways to start, but it's starting there. It's not starting in the bedroom, because you want to make sure you both feel comfortable, you both feel safe, you both feel happy, you both are ready, and you built that connection up to a point that it's strong enough to go, okay, cool, we can try whatever it is you're going to try. I hope that makes sense. Please, if this was of some value to you, please subscribe. Hit like and send it to someone that you know it would be of value to. Thank you so much for being here. And again, go ahead. The link is down below. It's called Turn Your Relationship On membership. Such amazing value, honestly. I've never seen this done before in the professional counseling space ever that I know of. So it's really quite a unique offer. It's really going to help you in your relationship build back that connection, that love, that intimacy. You can do it on your own. You can do it with your partner, or just take the learnings and the teachings back to your partner and apply it in your relationship. So there's plenty of ways you can do it. It's really accessible. It's going to be by video and audio. So you've got the audio clips if you're doing a commute. You can listen to it then. But I'm really hoping to get as many people there so we can start revolutionizing relationships. I am so passionate about this because I firmly believe that this education should be in schools. Maybe not this topic, but the topic around communication, about having relationships, about connecting on a deeper level, because our whole world is built on relationships, yet there's not enough education on it. And we're never educated on it. Could you imagine what life would be if you were? And so that's what Turn Your Relationship membership is about getting that information out there so you can have it, arm yourself with the tools, because it's not your fault sometimes. Like, there's so many things to know and skills to cultivate to have a great relationship. And so I hope you subscribe, because that's what this channel is about as well. And if you've listened to the end, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.